Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in, hour number 2, 3 o'clock hour, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Charlie Using there. My thanks to Ryan Wood for coming on, even though I had to cut him short. That whole segment was just a cluster. You have no idea. I mean, maybe you do. I don't really know what all got through on the network or not, but trust me when I tell you that entire segment was completely sideways for me over here on this side of the world. But it's all right. Hey, Sports Talk on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network is presented by Paramount Plus. Count on Sundays all season long with the NFL on CBS and on Paramount Plus. Andy Dorf on Sports on Sirius XM will join us coming up here in about 20 minutes. Give his side of the world from the Cardinals' perspective. Charlie Sounds of the Day, brought to you by Prospects, comes up at 3:40. That's a fun segment. That's him picking 3 random sports bites, clips from whether it be podcasting, TV shows, pressers, games, whatever the case may be. And most of the time, I have no idea what's coming. I just react to it as it happens. So that's a lot of fun. Fantasy Football Friday with Joe Bartel from RotoWire Fantasy Sports. He'll take your fantasy football questions coming up at 4:20. Does it every Friday. And then Follow the Money with Austin Herdenia from the Potawatomi Sportsbook comes up at 4:40. So before I get to talking about Christian Yelich, I'd like to play this clip, please.
And that one hung right there. Churro fouls it back with a Churro.
Yeah,
He's cramping up.
Remember, he's got that bad hamstring. He swings so hard that he pulled it.
Churro, it's the right hamstring that was the injury during the regular season late in the year, and he cannot bend his right leg right now.
Okay, I'm not playing the rest of it. That's good enough. Charlie, what do you think I was thinking when Churro was hopping up and down over there on the side? What do you think was going on?
So I told you so. This is awful. Blah 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 blah.
Yep.
Blah. This is
I wasn't.
crazy.
I was not. That is not how I sounded at all.
That's how you sound sometimes.
Yes, but no, I was not sounding like that way at all. I was mad watching it because again, this is another scenario. See the Green Bay Packers and the Milwaukee Brewers, where we are pushing guys out there when clearly they should not be out there. And I understand it's the postseason and all of that. But my God, to rush him back like they did in that Cubs series. And I know he hit a home run and then he got hurt again at the end of that game. And then he came back again after a day off. I was opposed to it the entire time it was happening. Didn't like it. And now here you are in a situation where they're saying it was cramping up. Just coincidentally, it was the exact same hamstring that's hurt. Clearly, that thing ain't right. And they're still rushing him out there to try and do this. I guarantee you he's going to play tonight. If all it was a cramp, Charlie, I haven't looked at Adam McKelvey today to see what he has on this, but I would imagine that Churro's back in there tonight if it was a cramp, because it was a pull before he could feel it, and they ran him back out there.
I mean, Churro last night said that it was just a cramp, like you're saying, that he's willing to go back out there.
Of course he is.
McKelvey hasn't put anything else out there yet about Churro. The most latest news he has is that Quintana's starting game.
Right.
Game. So.
That's nice. So that was not something I wanted to see at all. That sucked, right? Now, the game was pretty much over at that point anyhow, right, when Churro went down, but then it was over. Before that went out, I literally put out a tweet that said, hey, man, I'm telling you, now that they get into this bullpen, this offense is going to get going. They're going to score some runs. They didn't, and then everybody came after me on Twitter at Sparky Radio yet again for being too positive. That's the second time now I've been positive on Twitter about the Brewers, and the second time y'all have gotten mad at me. That's fine, though. It's not going to sway me at all. No, it's not. The Christian Yelich stuff, that's what we're going to talk about. Would you consider moving on from Christian Yelich due to his lack of postseason production throughout his career? Would you take calls on moving on from Christian Yelich this offseason? Would you consider moving the guy who had the best year of anybody offensively on this baseball team? A couple of years ago, I offered to say, hey, give him a top prospect to get his contract off the books. He's become a slap hitter. He's not what you're paying him for. Now he's going to make $24 million next year. Then he's got 2 years left after that at 23.9 and 23.8. Then it's a mutual option. So at that point, the Brewers can roll if they don't like what they're getting out of Christian Yelich. Then the year after that, he's a free agent. And that puts him at like 38 years old, somewhere in that area, by the time his playing career is all said and done. Now, you may be listening right now on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network and going, oh my God, why are you overreacting for? Why are you overreacting? It's one postseason. Sparky, what's your problem? Settle down. Ain't no reason to trade Christian Yelich because of one bad postseason. Well, I also was curious to see what his postseason numbers were because everybody was freaking out last night. So I went and I looked. 2018 was his first postseason, right? He played no postseasons with the Marlins prior to that trade to the Brewers. 10 games that year, he hit a $194.
Not great.
On the way to the NLCS, 194, 383 on base, which is good, 389 slugging, not so good. Okay, that's not positive. Christian Yelich, 2020, 2 games only, 9 at bats, hit 222 on base, 333 slugging. Christian Yelich, 2021, 4 games, 15 at bats, 200 he hit, 294 on base, 200 slugging. Holy badness. 2023, 2 games, only 2 games in 23. So 8 at bats. So not a huge sample size necessarily. He had 500. Good job, Christian. He was 4 for 8, couple of runs scored, couple of walks. He had a double that year as well. 600 on base, 625 slugging. That's the only good year he's had. Christian Yelich this year, 8 games, 30 at bats. He's hitting 200, 294 on base, 233 slugging.
That's not great for the guy, like you said, is supposed to be your best hitter on the team.
Do you remember back when this whole thing started and we were talking about, who's that X factor? Who's going to be the key? I said Christian Yelich. That was my guy. Said, hey, man, you're paying him the most money. He's got to play like you're paying him the most money in the playoffs. That's how this has to go. If this offense is going to go, he's got to deliver 9 out of 10 times in the postseason when there's runners in scoring position and he's got a chance to do something. That has clearly not happened. It's not happened. Now, I don't know what type of offer you could get for Christian Yelich, but if you were to say, take Christian Yelich out of the equation, what then does this offense look like? It looks a lot worse. In the regular season, looks a lot worse. Now, yeah, you free up $24 million to go spend somewhere else or sign somebody else to a long-term deal or whatever you decide to do. So as angry as some of you are about this, I'm not in the camp of trading Christian Yelich. I'm not there, man. You hope and pray that next year in the playoffs, he plays better than he has the last 5 years. The scary thing is this is definitely a trend. Like this isn't a 1 or 2 year sample size. We've got 5 years of the postseason of Christian Yelich not performing outside of 1 year when he only had 4 at bats or 8 at bats. Outside of one postseason, he has not been that guy. And when you are the guy who has been the best player, y'all can argue amongst yourself, Terang versus Yelich, whatever. But 29 homers, 100 plus RBIs, and you disappear poof, into the thin air when the lights are on. If we go back to the first hour, we asked inexperience or is it just a lack of talent? Christian Yelich isn't the inexperienced one on this lineup. He's got more experience than everybody. And yet, he's the one that disappeared. So when you start talking about a young team, an inexperienced team, you want to help drag them through and show them how to do it. Your best players got to play their best. Because if your best players are falling apart, these young guys like Frelick and Terang, who also didn't do great, are looking at him and they're falling apart too. Where's the, how do I get out? Who am I trying to match up and play with? Those guys didn't exist. If you're another baseball team and you have 3 4-star players, so let's say, I don't know, 5 years from now, right? Jackson Chourio, I would imagine, is not putting up these postseason numbers when we get to that point with Jackson Chourio, where he's got 5 years of playoffs. He's not doing that. I mean, to this point in 2 years, he's been an absolute stud. Christian Yelich killed this team, man. Killed this team. Not that it's all on him, because it's certainly not all on him. But when you're the star and you're getting paid to be the star, you got to act like the star. Because otherwise, this whole thing doesn't work. Nicolay Law, fan talking text line 414-677-1250. Would you consider moving on from Christian Yelich due to his lack of postseason production throughout his career? In his career, he is hitting .224. 22 hits, 2 homers, 3 RBIs, 13 runs scored in 26 games in the postseason in his career to date. KJ in West Allis, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Steve Sparky Fifer with you. What's up, KJ?
Hey, good afternoon, Sparky. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
Look, I wanted, first of all, Christian Yelich looks like a fish out of water, right? I mean, he just has not looked good, even in the Cubs series. I mean, he's just, I don't know what's wrong with him. I don't know what's going on. And you said earlier, yeah, there's a large sample size.
They asked Murphy. Did you hear that? They asked Murphy if he was healthy yesterday. He said he was. So there goes that.
Yeah. If I were Murphy, and, I'm not, but if I were him, I would have benched Yelich. But the only problem is they don't have anybody else that they can actually DH. If they had Rhys Hoskins and whatever, on the lineup. But they're not going to do that because Christian Yelich is, let's face it, he is the poster child, if you will, for Mark Antanasio and the Brewers to say, look, we went and spent all this money. This is what we got. He's a great player, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So Murph's not doing that. He's not even put him down further in the lineup. I mean, they're just not gonna, so I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do next year, Sparky. If they have any options, what the options might be. But, that would have been my option this year, is to either sit him down for a game or move him in the lineup, do something. But
it's funny, KJ.
The guy looks lost.
KJ, the funny thing about this is that these guys base lineups on numbers all the time, all season long, right? Well, the ready-lefty split is this and da-da-da-da-da. Whole different lineups. This guy's leading off against lefties. And when they play the righties, he slides all the way down to 6 or 7. You have a pretty significant sample size on Yelich here in the postseason, and you act like in the postseason he hits 300.
Yeah, no, he's not doing that.
It's not consistent.
And, and he just can't hit. If you throw him a sweeper or a slider, he's done. He is totally done, especially from a left-hander, Sparky.
Right.
He just can't hit it.
I'm with you. Thanks.
I don't know what it is.
KJ, I got to roll, man. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I'm just, again, if everything is based on analytics and we use numbers all the time, not even advanced analytics, just regular numbers on righty-lefty splits, and that determines who you play every game. Like, do you all remember back when they had Fielder and Braun and Hart and Weeks and Hardy? Those boys ran the same lineup out there every single day. It was the same 9. And when a guy took a day off, somebody just slid into that spot in the lineup and we kept going. We weren't doing all this nonsense. Now, that's all this is. It's not a Brewers thing. It's a baseball thing. It's an MLB thing, right? Everybody does it. It's not just a Milwaukee thing. But really, that is what it's all about right now, which is crazy to me. 414 uses the Nicolay Law talking text line, 414-677-1250. Love to have your call as well. Pull a Damian Lillard with Christian Yelich. There's no stretching in baseball, my friend. There is no stretching. You can defer money when you sign a guy to a contract, but you cannot stretch a contract necessarily. Dominic in Hale's Corner says, ironic that the Brewers are ending the season how they started the season. Eesh. But it's not exactly that way. The Dodgers aren't lighting them up like Christmas trees with home runs and huge offensive numbers. That's not what happened. Yes, you are losing. Yes, but your pitching has done more than enough to be in this series right now.
Yeah, but
here
also,
comes the but. Can you ever say a sentence without saying the word but?
It's a lot more fun to say but. It's a lot more fun to go against
me
you.
Nuts. What?
The Dodgers pitching is dominating the Brewers offense just as much as the Yankees bats were dominating the Brewers pitching.
It's not the same thing.
How is it not the same thing?
Man, we were talking about
it feels just as helpless.
Not me. We're talking about go buy torpedo bats. Get everybody on the team torpedo bats. We thought literally there was a advantage in the bats, which obviously clearly was wrong at the end of the day, which is fine. Let's move on. Chuck, south side of Milwaukee. You're next on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text Line with me, Steve Sparky Fifer on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's up?
Yeah, a couple of things about when was that? The second week of September when he set out 5 games.
Yeah,
because it's back.
Yep.
Look what he was doing before that, and look what he did after that when he came back. I think he's got a background.
I said that. I said that, and I don't remember who it was. Somebody straight up asked Murphy yesterday, "Is Yelich hurt?" And he said, "No."
Well, yeah, of course they're going to say that. What else are they going to say? What else are they going to say? No, he's out there with half a back. He's out there with a bad back. He's trying real hard. What do you think? They're not going to say that.
No, I don't. I agree with you. Thanks for the call. I don't disagree with you, Chuck. We may find out 3 months from now that Yelich was battling something during the postseason and they didn't want it to get out. And then we're all going to feel bad. The problem is he's got 5 years of not being good in the postseason. It's not just this year. In 2018, he was horrific on that run. Horrific. 608 says if the Brewers are going to use his money to get someone else that can produce the same, then sure. But if it's just because he can't hit in the playoffs, you might as well get rid of half the team. That's from Trev in the 608. That's a fair point. Charlie, look it up. Charlie using my guy, producer, other side of the glass. Look up, where does Christian Yelich rank in salaries in, say, 2026? Because we don't care about 25. Now the season's over. In 26. Because he's making $24 million next year. But what type of players are around him at $24 million? I think y'all are going to be surprised that maybe the quality isn't as great as you think it is at around $24 million. But let's find out. What do we got, Charlie?
All right, so it's taking a little while. Spot Track likes to take a long time to load. If we head all the way down to about $24 million, guys.
How far down is it?
He is the 40th highest paid player in the league. And my
40th!
My Google just crashed right as I saw that. But
40th,
I saw Luis Castillo was the guy around him. George Springer was another guy that was around him.
I'd take Yelich over George Springer.
George Springer played like an MVP this year. That's kind of...
Yeah, that's fine. But I'm just saying, if we're talking just going forward.
Javi Baez, Young-Hoo Lee, Kevin Gausman, Logan Webb, Freddie Freeman is making $22 million per year.
Okay, so that's a comp, but they're not going to.
Trevor Story's making $25 million.
That's not worth it. That's a waste of money.
Xander Bogaerts is making $25 million too. I forget how big. Chris Bryant's making $27 million. Isn't that crazy, Sparky?
See, now let's just stop right there. How much better do you feel as a Brewers fan listening right now on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network when you heard the crap contracts that are around Christian Yelich and you look at the numbers that Christian Yelich put up? Don't you feel better about the Christian Yelich contract? Again, anybody that's listened to me over the course of time knows how anti-Yelich I was when he wasn't doing anything, was constantly hurt. I was all about getting rid of him. They obviously didn't listen over there at the Brewers, and they continued to ride with them, and obviously it's paid off now this year in a big way because this is the closest he's looked since his MVP year. But even though they're paying him a lot of money, when you look around him, he's worth every penny of it, right?
I think so.
He's worth every penny of it.
I think that with Christian Yelich, you have to realize, again, that he is the best player that this team has seen since Ryan Braun and Prince Fielder. And those guys gave you so much happiness with this city and this team.
Yes.
Christian Yelich is that next up. Give him some respect.
No doubt about it. Hey, let's talk about respect. Potawatomi Casino and Hotel, man. Win big this October at the Potawatomi. Play the Bird Bash game show for $50,000 in cash. Just play with your Potawatomi rewards card for entries. Prize drawings on Thursdays. Plus, Your play also earns you a shot at the $300,000 December season finale. It's a Bird Bash, only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. For more details, visit paysbig.com/birdbash. Again, paysbig.com/birdbash. Coming up next, Andy Dorf on Sports on Sirius XM Radio. He is in Phoenix and will give us the Cardinal side of things as the Packers get ready to battle with the Cardinals coming up on Sunday. Don't forget, here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, we'll have the Green Bay football post-game show with myself and Tommy Wirtz starting right away at 6:30. We'll be on the air regardless if the game's done or not. We're on at 6:30. Taking your calls. We'll go inside the locker room, hear from the players, hear from the coaches. Ryan Wood of the Green Bay Press Gazette joins us on every post-game show as well. So looking forward to talking to everybody after the game coming up on Sunday. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. If you love Wendy's classic chocolate vanilla frosty flavors, there's some big news. They're all new Frosty Swirls and now Frosty Fusions. It's the same creamy treat you've always loved. Now they flavor refresh. So what are these new flavors? Well, they got the Frosty Swirls, strawberry, brownie batter, caramel. Now, again, you can have either base, chocolate or vanilla. And now the Frosty Fusions, Oreo brownie, caramel crunch, pieces of toffee in that one, and Pop-Tart strawberry. So clock in for sweet treat time with Wendy's. All new Frosty flavors, a refresh on a classic. It's got to be Wendy's. Joining us now, you can see his pretty face right there on YouTube at WI Sports Radio, at WI Sports Radio on YouTube, streaming our shows. He is Andy Dorf, Dorf on Sports on Sirius XM Radio. Follow him on Twitter at Dorf on Sports. Andy, thanks for coming on, man. How are you?
I am super, my brother. Great to be on the show. And I was listening to you talk a little bit about Christian Yelich and the lack thereof in the postseason in that segment before me, man. I'll tell you what, disappointment when it comes to the Milwaukee Brewers is just something that is a norm for every Brewer fan. We see it every single time they get to the postseason. It's super unfortunate. But at the end of the day, look, the Dodgers were not healthy all year, and now you're seeing a healthy Dodger team, and that pitching is so dominant against our hitting. It's unbelievable, man. It's sad to see, to be honest with you.
Somebody listening to you right now just said, he said our. So give everybody your background for those that don't know your background, Andy Dorf.
I love it, man. I always love being challenged, brother. So, look, I grew up in that great state of Wisconsin. I'm born and raised. I grew up in Bayside, Wisconsin, and went to Nicolet High School, went on to Minnesota for a little while for college, and wound up here at ASU and never left this place because I'll tell you what, my friend, I don't know what you're looking at today, but it's 80, it's sunny, there's not a darn cloud in the sky, and life is beautiful in the Valley of the Sun, my friend.
I hate people like you. I didn't ask for a weather forecast. I asked for your background, and you got to drop it in. But since you want to be a smart aleck, right now where I'm at, it's 72 degrees and cloudy outside, I guess I would say. There's partly cloudy. I don't know. Sun in and out. 72. But that's pretty good for us here in Wisconsin, 72. Okay, let's talk about this Cardinals team. What is going on with the situation at quarterback right now for the Arizona Cardinals? I'm hoping there's no Kyler Murray. I'm not worried about Jacoby Brissett necessarily, but what's going on at quarterback?
There will be no Kyler Murray this weekend. He is definitely ruled out for Sunday's game against the Green Bay Packers. So Jacoby Brissett will be the guy. And quite frankly, I think you're going about this maybe the wrong way, because if you've looked at what Jacoby's been able to do the last couple of weeks, he's actually moved the ball pretty well. And if it weren't for a few plays, yeah, but if it weren't for a few plays here and there, they may have escaped a couple of these games. So
hey, man.
Look.
He is a backup quarterback for a reason. He is streaky as they get. This dude is good for a game here or a game there, but eventually he comes back to being Jacoby Brissett again, and that is what I fully expect. I to be honest with you, I think they're going to get a couple interceptions off this cat coming up on Sunday.
Here's the problem with the Green Bay Packer defense, in all honesty, when you mention that, is that even though they're pretty solid and they're pretty steady, they've had one game where they gave up 40 points. Other than that, the points that they've allowed have been more than respectable. But I don't feel like they're attacking like they were the first couple of weeks anymore, Sparky. So something's been lost with that defense to a certain degree. I think they can get it back, but at this moment in time, they're not attacking the same way that they did the first couple of weeks out of the gate. And I think that that's part of the reason you've seen some of the struggles with your Green Bay Packers, or our Green Bay Packers.
Big talking point about around the Packers right now are two things. Number one, Micah Parsons and getting to the quarterback again. That would be one. And the second thing is their lack of turnovers so far this season. Last year, when this thing got going, Xavier McKinney was getting a pick every week, and they were doing great things from that perspective. They was bend but don't break. But for the most part, they got the turnovers when they needed them. This year, more consistently stopping the opposing offense for at least the first half to three quarters of a game. But then once you get to that fourth quarter, it's like, I don't want to say they ease up or whatever, but for whatever the reason, offenses make adjustments on Halfley's defense, whatever, and the offenses start to exploit this Packers defense a little bit. That's something else that the Packers have to look at. But again, from the Packers defensive standpoint, Okay, Jacoby Brissett, fine. Marvin Harrison Jr. has been up and down for a majority of this year, so you don't know what you're going to get from him on Sunday. The running game is all banged up and hurt, so I don't think there's a legitimate threat at the running back position either.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's next man up mentality. We've heard it so many times before, but we're there for the Arizona Cardinals once again, and they're gonna need guys to step up. Look, Michael Wilson can play, Xavier Weaver can do it. They got guys that can get it done. Michael Carter, he's been a little better than I expected him to be honest with you. Bam Knight, they're gonna. It's running back by committee. It's wide receiver by committee. Marvin Harrison Jr. obviously still kind of in that protocol for the concussion, but we'll see. I mean, I do think that he will give it a go this weekend. Kyler, like I told you, he is not giving it a go, but Jacoby Brissett has been better than advertised, and he is a backup, a career backup. We all know that, and it's not news. But as you said, he comes in and spells, and he does a decent job, and that's what he's done for the Cardinal team. It hasn't resorted in any wins because they've lost 4 straight, so they need to turn it around. I'm kind of with you. I don't think this is the week that they turn it around against the Green Bay Packers. I'm not saying that. However, you come to the desert, man, you just better be prepared to give it everything you got because they play extremely hard at home, Sparky.
Talking with Andy Dorf, Dorf on Sports, Sirius XM Radio. Follow him on Twitter at Dorf on Sports. I want to talk about the other side of the ball, right? Packers offense versus Cardinals defense. Your head coach is a defensive guy, came from the Philadelphia Eagles, obviously. What does the Packers offense have in store for them against this defense?
I mean, I would like you to tell me that, but I'll tell you what the defense is going to have in store for your Green Bay Packers. They are going to try to get after Jordan Love, and they're going to try to be tough and physical on the front 4 and not let the Packers push that defensive line back. And, you can say what you want about certain guys, but man, oh man, you have to give Calais Campbell some serious credit for the distractions that he's still able to have out there on a football field, even at his very, very old age. We all know that this is the last year for him, but he is still causing havoc out on the football field. And I look for him to, if the Cardinals have any chance, Calais has got to get in the backfield.
It's funny you bring up Calais Campbell because in the last 24 to 48 hours, there have been Packer fans on Twitter going, go get him at the trade deadline and let him come in and play for the Green Bay Packers defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I don't think he's going to leave Arizona. The loyalty is really, really high. And, I remember a conversation that he had with Coach Gannon before the season, and they talked about, coming back and playing. And this is where his heart is. This is where his home is. I don't see Calais Campbell being moved in any way, shape, or form. However, look, man, stranger things have happened, right? We saw Luka go last year. We've seen strange things happen. We always hear the conversations about Giannis, and that we know, in my humble opinion, is all a bunch of nonsense. He ain't going anywhere. And he did finally come out and speak the other day and say, hey, I want to finish my life in Greece. And to be honest with you, Sparky, I'm not trying to go off on a tangent here, but we're in this sports market and this sports media thing, and people like to create narratives. Why don't they create that narrative? Because at the end of the day, I got to tell you, I love that narrative about Giannis going back to Greece and just doing great things for his country. That would be a freaking amazing, man. So I would love to see that.
Andy, if you don't want them to talk about Giannis the way they've been talking about Giannis, then tell his agents to shut up. That would be my first suggestion. If you don't want Shams Charania to talk the way he talks, then you can go tell Giannis's agents to stop talking to Charania. I said this before. I'll say it again. I am convinced more than ever they're the ones feeding all this to Charania is Giannis's agents. I think they're the ones that are going to benefit more than anybody else if they actually get him to a different market as far as deals that maybe they think they can cut.
However, listen, man, at the end of the day, this is what I'll say on this. And again, I don't mean to go off on a tangent because
you've already sidetracked the whole interview now with Bucks. But go ahead.
I know how crazy that town is about Giannis. But think about it like this, okay? Have we ever met or known a sports athlete, a professional athlete, even a college athlete, maybe even a high school athlete? Have you ever known an athlete not to be one to be talked about, by the media in a positive way, or about all the possibilities about what you could do somewhere else. It's not like they're talking about Giannis in a negative way. They're talking about him all good and how everybody should want this guy. He should be in New York. He should be there. He should be in Golden State. I mean, they got him going everywhere, man. So at the end of the day, I've never met an athlete that doesn't like to be talked about in a positive way, Sparky.
I'm going to avoid continuing this conversation for the sanity of myself and my own health because I get way too worked up talking about Giannis lately. Andy Dorf, Dorf on Sports on Sirius XM. Follow him on Twitter at Dorf on Sports. Andy, thanks so much for coming on, man. I appreciate you.
Hey, brother, as always, and we always say this every time we get on together, you got to start coming on my show. I should come on your show. I love talking Wisconsin sports because you know how near and dear it is to my heart. Even though I'm in the Valley of the Sun, brother, I am a diehard Milwaukee Bucks, Brewers, Packers fan from today until the day I die, my friend.
There you go. There he is, Andy Dorf, joining us on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call. That's all. Don't forget, you can follow us on YouTube as we stream our shows. Again, at WI Sports Radio on YouTube. At WI Sports Radio on YouTube. Coming up next, Charlie's Sounds of the Day, brought to you by Prize Picks. Straight ahead here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Welcome in, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. See Sparky Fifer with you. Charlie using other side of the glass. Don't forget, coming up 4 o'clock hour, Fantasy Football Friday with Joe Bartel from RotoWire Fantasy Sports. Comes up at 4:20. Follow the money with Austin Herdenia. Potawatomi Sportsbook manager tells you where all the money is flowing at right now at the Potawatomi Sportsbook for the games coming up this weekend. A very, very fun segment. Green and Gold Update comes up at 4 o'clock. We always do Confident, Concerned, and Curious. Now, for those of you just tuning in, may not have heard the show. Confident, Concerned, and Curious we do every Friday, normally on a Football Friday at 2 o'clock. But with the Brewers in the middle of the NLCS and so forth, we moved it down. But normally every Friday during the football season at 2 o'clock, we do Confident, Concerned, and Curious. So what are you most confident in going to the Packer game? What are you most concerned about going into the Packer game? And what are you most curious to see from this Packers team going into the game? So normally at 2 o'clock on Fridays. Today, however, it will be at 4 o'clock during our Green and Gold Update time. With that being said, it's time to get to this.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, time to get to Charlie Sounds of the Day. And this is always a fun one because this is one where I never know what's coming. So we'll see which way it goes today. This segment brought to you by Prize Picks. You know, I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this sports season on Prize Picks. Whether you're a football fan, a basketball fan, or a fan of both like I am, it always feels good to be right. And remember, it's daily fantasy, right? You're just doing more or less on 2-player stat projections or more. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. Plus, they developed the flex play option as well, which means you get paid even if one of your picks misses. Yeah. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code SPARKY, SPARKY, to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. And like I always say, just think about it. If you do $5 lineups, every time you go, it's $5. That means the 5 that you put in and the 50 they give you, you can play 11 lineups for $5. Why wouldn't you do that? Even if you aren't great at daily fantasy, why not? Maybe you'll luck into a couple of winners and make more than $5, right? So again, use code SPARKY, SPARKY, in your Prize Picks app. All right, Charlie, where are we going first?
All right, first up, we're going to head over to MLB now, where former MLB reliever Adam Ottavino was discussing the Milwaukee Brewers' decision to use an opener for Jacob Misiorowski last night.
I don't know. I didn't like it at all. Honestly, for me, I would have went straight to Misiorowski and played it straight yesterday if it was me.
Yeah, the nervousness there is his lack of experience and that sort of thing, which I kind of understand. And he's been good in that role. You let him jump in after you face, again, a left-handed Dodgers, you said a left-hander first. I like that aspect of it. Why would you start the Miz?
I just felt like they were ready to use him in the biggest moments anyway. He warmed up as the game began, comes in the first inning already in trouble. If you're willing to put him in there with the game theoretically on the line with guys on base and traffic in the first inning, why not let him just go at it straight up? You had the shadow situation yesterday. I would have just trusted. He's your nastier guy. I would have just went with it right away.
Fair enough. Right. He's an A+ stuff, right? He's
also,
yeah, go ahead.
It also sets up Ashby for a better lane later. I think, they gave a little bit of predictability to Dave Roberts facing Ashby and those guys getting ready for that a little bit. They tried to play a little gamesmanship. It didn't really work. They didn't fall for it. I think I would have just played it straight in this situation.
It's interesting because I would have done the same thing they did. I don't think I would have used Ashby. I may have used Koenig or McGill or somebody else in front of Misiorowski. But yesterday when we were on the air for most of the show, the belief was that Quintana was going to be the guy that was going to come in behind Ashby. And I believe Murphy said 71% chance that we're going to use him heavily. Don't believe everything here from Pat Murphy. But it ended up being Misiorowski. I wouldn't have started him either. I like the opener from that perspective. I definitely didn't want him starting in a game where they could go home if he pitches poorly. So that they avoided. So you get the veteran in Quintana tonight, in this matchup tonight, which I'm fine with against Shohei Ohtani. Quintana's been through it. If he gets in trouble early, it's not going to rattle him. It's not going to shake him. He ain't going to freak out. He'll just keep pitching, which is something I was not sure about Mizorowski. But again, last night, folks, Mizorowski proved in the clutch, and the lights are brightest, he can deliver. And again, last night, he delivered to a very, very high level. In fact, if you don't remember how it all played out.
Jacob Mizorowski, Ronnie the Miz, steps in here in the fire in the first inning.
He has been the story in the 2 games that he has come into.
That's a double, driven in a run. And a swing and a miss and a wipeout curveball. Mizorowski strikes out Tommy Edman. 0-2 the count. And that is a called strike 3. 0-2 to Kike Hernandez, and down he goes. Mizorowski almost falls off the mound.
Gave him a thumbs up over there to Pat Murphy.
Yeah, it's a lightning strike. As Mizorowski climbs the ladder and strikes out Will Smith, he went upstairs with a breaking ball. That's the slider.
That I'm not going to play all of them, but that highlights courtesy of TBS. Folks, when that curveball is doing what it was doing, they ain't beating him. It's not happening. I'm telling you, next season, when this thing gets going again and he's starting games and he's the guy at the front of the rotation, if they trade Freddie Peralta, yeah, that man is almost unhittable when that curveball is working like it was. That was probably the best his curveball has looked all during the regular season. We saw it in the minors. Like, there's clips in the minors of that thing doing what it was doing last night. We had not seen it in a Brewers uniform until yesterday. That is a very, very dangerous pitch, because if that's working, to go with the fastball, to go with the slider, and good night. That he'll be one of the top 3 pitchers in baseball if he gets that thing to go consistently.
I think I've been one of the most positive people on Jacob Mizorowski since he's come up. Even when he was struggling, I was still saying, start him in a game 5. Why not? Like, I feel like he has that confidence that just, to me, gives me confidence about him as well.
So good.
And that performance last night just proves that more. I'm all in on Jacob Mizorowski. This guy's a star, and he proved it on the biggest stage last night. I did find it a little weird they used an opener for him when again, like Adam was saying, you were going to him anyways. You trusted him to come in a high-intensity situation anyways. Just go to him in the first place.
They literally wanted 3 batters, and it was already down 1 by the time that got done. And we said yesterday Ashby was due to get lit up, and it happened right off the bat there in the first. All right, go on.
Next up here, we're going to head over to the Mina Kimes show, where Mina and a friend of our show, Sam Monson, were discussing how frustrating the Green Bay Packers are.
Oh, boy.
Green Bay, they've had this sort of weird season where I watch them play. You watch them score a touchdown drive, and you're like, how does anybody stop this? Like,
I know.
It's so dominant.
I feel the same way watching them.
And they do stop it for like a huge amount of the game. I don't understand how they're not 45 up at this point.
I want to put the Packers so much higher than everyone else has them. You've seen She's All That with Rachel Lee Cook, where she plays like a nerd, and Freddie Prinze Jr. sees that she could be beautiful. He dates her and makes her cool. And the joke around that movie is like, she was obviously like hot the whole time. She was just wearing glasses. The Green Bay Packers like have the hottest girl in the world inside of them. And I'm just like, take off your damn glasses, Green Bay. You're so hot. They have everything required, I really think, to be the best team in the NFL. There's these like frustrating drives that make no sense. I would say penalties are a common problem. Or just like weird little execution lapses, which is odd too, because they're really well coached and the defense kind of falls apart at the end of games and it doesn't really make sense. And I just watch them and I find them right now to be like a very frustrating team, because I feel like they should be so much better than they are.
Of course you've seen She's All That, but haven't seen like any other movie ever in your entire life.
I remember that one. I think that's an older movie, isn't it?
A little bit, like kind of around my age.
Yeah. So it's a little bit older. I agree with Mina Kimes. I think they are a hot team right now, but they've just got to figure it all out. It's funny that she says great coaching, but then points out all the little things that they do wrong. So, maybe we'll do this another day. But if this team was coached by Andy Reid, would they be better? If this team was coached by Jim Harbaugh, would they be better? If this team was coached by John Harbaugh, would they be better? I don't know. Mike Tomlin. I don't know if they'd be any better than they are now anyhow. But I know there's a lot of people that are frustrated with Matt LaFleur through this whole thing. All right, go ahead. One more.
All right. And last up here, we're going to head over to First Take on ESPN, where Paul Feinbaum was discussing the Kurt Cignetti extension down in Indiana.
They did not. And before anybody jumps out of their chair, allow me to explain. I think everyone on this panel agrees that he's done a phenomenal job. But Stephen A., this is how programs get in trouble.
Oh,
they
shut
just
up.
gave him an extension
Shut
and a
up.
contract raise at the end of last season.
cares?
We are barely at the midpoint. Let it play out
No.
before you completely send the Brinks truck
Okay.
up. Listen, there are
Stop. Here, let me help. Paul Feinbaum. Man, if they wouldn't have paid him, Alabama could have had him. Now Alabama can't have him.
Basically, yeah.
That's what he's saying, right? I mean, we all know what he's saying.
Later on in the same
me a
episode, he
break.
talked about how good the SEC was and how
See?
they could beat everybody in the Big Ten. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
he's a sore loser.
Get out of here. You're just mad that nobody can steal him now in your conference. That was a brilliant, brilliant move by Indiana. I think I said it yesterday or the day before. He's the Barry Alvarez of Indiana. He's changing that program like Barry changed Madison. Now they've gone the other way. But that's what Cignetti is to that program. They were smart to make that move. Coming up next, Green and Gold Update. Confident, concerned, and curious. Fantasy Football Friday with Joe Bartel, RotoWire Fantasy Sports at 420. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.